Hey guys, Joe with PCG. Patrick, I'm sending this video really for you so you can kind of see the 460s we install with part of our process. And this is multi-layered with a little quick dashboard metrics, and then each individual you can see what they're booking, phone or internet leads, and that's for auto alert. But I'm just trying to respond here, and yeah, you're right. I think, we've copied this over so many times that one of the original copies I gave to Mike Meyer, some of the formulas get jumbled, but obviously you have one box that is internet lead by individual, and then you have one box that is phone call. We break it down by new and used, and it gives you a total lead. And what you're looking for is something called R460s. We do a 460s formula. So I should be able to take 458 total internet leads. This is the formula we use on internet process, and then we use a 360s on call. So on the calls. So 274, 275 should be my contacts. They're at 188. See that? And then my second 60 is where we get four individual 60% brackets. 164 should be my appointment 110. So I've got room. So obviously, 110 to 188 is a pretty decent number, but that's not relative to what we should be doing. So how do I increase the appointments? Well, better contacts, right? They need to make more outbound phone calls. It seems like when the phones get busy, and especially with the arrangement we have with no receptionist and people zeroing out, the girls are getting bombarded with every kind of call, and I think consequently not, they're being very good at reactive but not proactive at calling the leads. If you just call leads, just blow them up, text them and call them, it's amazing. The contact ratio blows up, then the rest of it tumbles right. So your lines that you're looking for 60 is contacts, appointments, and total shows. That should be 60% of contacts of leads. Appointments should be 60% of contacts. Shows should be 60% of appointments, and sold should be 60%. That'll give you like a 13% net sold out of total leads is what you should be looking for. Honda store should be 15, 18. Apple Group with 4 stores. We've been with them past 6 months, and I don't think they've looked back below 15. I know for sure they're definitely knocking out that 18% conversion. Okay, so I should have had 164 opportunities. I increase this, that increases, so there's my opportunity. I won't talk percentages with an individual in the team. I'll just talk to them about, hey, could you have reached out 129 leads? Could you have contacted another 50? I mean, another 30? Because then I know you would have had another 10 or 20 here. And then that's what we're looking for. Do they have that time in a day to do that? So your third 60, not to lose track, so I'm looking at 98. So see, their show ratio is pretty decent. So what they are getting a hold of, they're getting in, but we're leaving some meat on the bone as far as real process. Okay. Then what the team should have sold you, not the BDC, but the floor for bringing people in, should have been 59. That's 46 on 13 light. You multiply that by your 1,500 average. That's real money that we could bring in. Where does it lie? It's not in shows. It's right in here. So now the coaching for Sarah is drilling down on how much time are the girls calling out, if they're bombarded with inbound calls, or if I don't have a schedule, because pay plans are in place for the girls and pay plans are in place for Sarah as the team leader, that she should be focusing on this, okay? I need to pay attention to my Know Me call report, and the valley times that I have throughout the day and the day of the week is when I should be aggressively trying to reach out to people and not just leaving voicemails. The calls right here give you a quick idea. They had 50 calls, and that's pretty easy. So if I take 50 total calls by that department times my 60%, this is going to be a 360s scenario. Should have had 30, so they're way high on appointments here, right? And then I have 60 on that, and I should have had 18. So yeah, my question is, how do we have a lot more shows? So typically what happens is, let's say for instance, I'm working a lead from 6 weeks ago. That lead would be counted in that bucket for that month, but my appointment show and sold, or my appointment let's say I didn't even really make contact till this time. They were on vacation or something. That actually goes into this month count. So there's a plus or minus, 2 or 3%, but it all averages out. But then on calls, that's a live call coming in today. How on earth is this happening here? So I'm questioning the same thing you are. But they sold 19 out of 50. And my point is, how can they sell 19 out of 50? Because they're talking to them on the phone, right? It's a phone pop. Well, that's 38%, right? 10% would be 5. And then 10% here should be 45. So they're pulling like, right at 10%. Your minimum standard is your 460s on leads, which would give you 13%. And your minimum 360s here should give you 25% on calls. Your shows for the girls, shows to total leads should be a 22% bracket if you break it down. So 92 divided by 458, right? That's going to be 20%. So they're really not far off. How do they increase that? It's really by that daily activity. If they can make more outbound calls because they're demonstrating here that they're phenomenally strong, how come this skill set is different from this skill set when I just need to call people? Well, this is reactive, right? This is my outfield and this is my at-bat, right? I'm going to be receiving plays here. I'm going to be making offensive plays. So we just need to make sure that focus is there. And that's why Sarah and like Amanda on service side, we want to be focused in on that daily BDC activity because Mike is busy with digital. His head's buried and doing the good things, driving them this activity. Your typical maximum capacity per BDC person is about 100 and 120 plus calls. So they're getting a little over inundated, and then they're taking all inbound calls because we don't have the receptionist and the zero out option arranged, but it's coming. If I can get them off of the phones from inbound calls of everything to the dealership and have them more focused on those optimum times, 11 to 1 and 4 to 6 on outbound calls, you should see this grow here, and then that would change this number there. This is your culmination of the two. You typically can, you want 13% up here, you want 25% here, and then you can see a combined of definitely 20+% in the department. This is not bad at all, but what I'm looking for is that driven down activity. So if I were to take 104 and do 60, 60, 60, I can measure her. This is obviously an error of some type. I'm not real sure what they're doing there because I don't have anybody in the country or in the 3 countries that we service doing numbers like that. Right? So anyway, if they are, let's write a damn book, sell it, and we'll just make money, right? This right here tells you what auto alert's doing. I don't think we're registering anything there, but what I'd like to do is get that team to funnel that information to Mike or Sarah, and let's give them a daily sheet, and let's kind of keep that up. All of this can help us evaluate ROI. So I want you to see what I was looking at. This dashboard may or may not mean anything because sometimes I'm looking at these numbers here and those look incredible because you want 25% of shows, right? But that doesn't mean anything if I don't know what that number is really coming from, right? That should be 25% of shows from the internet only, not and calls combined. So that would be a great job, but obviously that number's blown over there on that second box. Anyway, hopefully that helps you, Patrick. This is how we'll use a tool to measure the activity. We should get a weekly report and then of course the month-end report. And then what I do is I add that to a cumulative annual and quarterly report, and we're looking for the internet department to contribute about 30% of the sales, okay, to the dealership. Very much like the BDC department, Amanda has got some great focus now out of the team, and Brittany's come alive and appointments are going up. But I want to directly relate that to Steve, to ROs that actually open and turn, people spent money to turn a wrench, right? We're not focused on anything other than appointments from BDC so that people will come buy a car, and appointments for service BDC so that people will have an RO that actually turns a wrench. What I want Steve to be able to do is measure that 25 to 30% of his ROs are coming from the service BDC. Same thing, same kind of scenario, two different tactics, but well, this is what we're looking at. They have the same issues, taking a lot of inbound calls. Well, what happens when the inbound calls drop down, sales or service? If they're not making outbound calls or gotten used to that, then especially campaign calls for service and offering, segmented service um, uh, maintenance and those types of things, then when the phone is dead or down, then you have these waves in the department where you got techs back there or salespeople standing around look like they're interested, right? This is where you get at least a third of your organization's business is from those centers, okay? I do have some stores, Apple Group is one of them, where they're pushing like a 40%, almost 50% of the business coming from the BDC, especially their main store that sells about 400 cars a month. The four stores are doing, I think, right at 1,200 units. So that's Apple Group up there, St. Paul, Minneapolis. They're great. They've been with us, and I don't think they've seen less than 18 on pure leads. And then they're running like 20, 25 pure D sold off of calls. Hopefully that helps you. Appreciate the time. This is something that I'll also do. I'll go in behind the girls in Xtime for service, and I'll also go in behind the girls on VinSolutions in the internet and evaluate the customer's experience as they were executing the process. Thanks so much.